have a Rails 3 application here which lists many products, as you can see here, and I also have a search field that I can type any search term into and it'll find any product that includes that term and the name of the product. Now let me show you how this works. We can take a look inside our products controller in the index section, and you can see this is where that search is taking place. We're calling products where to fetch all the products whose name is like the given search term that's passed in here. And an actual SQL string is required here. We can't do a simple conditions hash because we're doing something more complex than a simple equals. We're doing this like call. Same goes if we wanted to find greater than or less than comparisons, and so on. It all requires SQL strings with active record. Now, if you don't like using SQL code directly, you might want to try out this gem called MetaWhere by Ernie Miller. It allows you to call methods on symbols to perform complex find conditions, such as this code example here. We can call title matches hello, and created at is greater than 3 days ago, and that results in this SQL here, such as it uses title like for the matches call. And this will allow us to get by with only using hash conditions instead of actual SQL code. This approach is similar to how Data Mapper and Mongoid work, so it's nice to have this as an option in Active Record as well. Let's try it out. The first step is to go to the gem file in your Rails application and call gem MetaWhere, and then run the bundle command to get it installed. And then inside our products controller here, we can change this bit of SQL so that it says name matches that given string. And this has the exact same behavior that we had before, so you could just type in a search term and it works to filter out the products. That example was somewhat trivial, so let me show you some more examples here in the console. So we can do, for example, a product where price is less than $5, and that'll show us a couple of products there that match that criteria. You can also perform OR conditions by supplying multiple hashes using a pipe symbol like this. So we have prices less than $5 or our name matches video. Let's give this a try. And that'll show us both video products and products that are less than $5. There are also some things you can do inside the order clause, such as ordering by the release date and by descending order. So you can say pass in the descending method call there, and that'll show us the most recently released products first. There's also an alternative syntax you can use for find conditions, but you have to enable it first. You can enable it by calling MetaWhere.operatorOverload. You can then use Ruby operators instead. For example, you can do that price call again, or price, and instead of calling that less than method, you can perform the less than operator here, less than 5, and it'll again show you all the products that are less than $5. So that's a little bit more of a convenient way to perform the same query find conditions. Now there's a lot more you can do with the MetaWhere gem, so I encourage you to check out the documentation here for more examples. I'll link to it in the show notes. But while we're here in this episode, I want to show you another gem by the same author called MetaSearch. Now this gem adds a convenient way to perform searches on a model through a form. For example, in the controller, you can call article search and then pass it a variety of user parameters that are submitted through the form, and then just fetch all the records which match that given search query. And here's what a form might look like, and notice that the name of the fields in that form define the search functionality, such as title contains, that will automatically search the title for words that are contained in the given text field. So let's give this a try by replacing our product search form right here with MetaSearch. First, you need to add MetaSearch to your gem file, so we'll just add it here. Just add MetaSearch. You'll want to run the bundle command to get it installed. And then in our controller index action, we can replace this with what we would do with MetaSearch. So we just call product.search and then pass it the search parameters. And then we can fetch all the products using search.all. Now this is actually going to fetch them using an SQL query right here. Now if you want to perform additional searches on it, you can call relation here, and that way you can call additional where clauses because it'll return a scope. Otherwise, you can also call paginate, and that'll perform will pagination if you want. But in this case, just all will work for us. And inside of our index template, we need to update our search form, which is right here, to use what MetaSearch suggests. So in this case, we use a form for call with our search object. And For our submit button, let's rename it to search. And then we want to have a field here called name contains, because we want to check if our product's name includes our given text that's inside the search form here. And this search form won't quite look the same, but it will do what we need. And then when we open that up in our browser, you can see our form here, name contains, let's type video, and it performs the same search that it did before. And what's neat about this is that we can expand our search options by simply adding to our view layer. We don't need to mess with our model or controller layers at all. For example, let's say we want to add a functionality for searching a price range. So we could say maybe a price greater than or equal to a given value. And let's call this price ranges from as a label. So that's a price greater than or equal to, and the size is maybe 8 in the text field size. And then we'll call this 2, and less than or equal to. So that way we'll have 2 text fields here for searching a range of prices. So let's try this out in the browser. So here's our form with our price range. So we can say price ranges from $5 to $50, search, and it filters the products respectively. You can even combine these searches, and it will, find all the products which match all of these criteria. So the key is really in the name that you give the text field to determine how the search will be performed. There's a lot more options that you can pass here, so check out the documentation for details. Another feature that MetaSearch provides is the ability to sort by a given column. So in this case, we can add a sort by section here, where we have links for sorting by different columns. And there's a helper method called sortLink that MetaSearch provides, and you pass in the search object along with the column name that you want to sort by, such as name. We can do price and released at time. And let's give this a try. So now when we go to our products list, you can see there's sort by links here that we can just click them to sort by that given column, and you can see we can sort by either ascending or descending order just by clicking it again. There we go. Now, one thing to be aware of using MetaSearch is that this opens up your database to be searchable based off of any column that the user wants to add into here. It's not limited to just the columns that you include in your form. This also uses associations as well. So if you have associated records with important critical information that you want to keep private, be aware of that when using MetaSearch. Now, thankfully, there are some security methods you can call in your model to limit exactly what the user is allowed to search for. I won't go into details here, but I highly recommend you add this if your search form is accessible to the public. Well, that's it for our brief look at the MetaWhere and MetaSearch gems. If it looks like something you would like to use, I encourage you to give it a try. Now, there is another gem which works very similar to this called Search Logic. And as far as I know, Search Logic does not work with Rails 3. So if you like the behavior of Search Logic, definitely check out MetaWhere and MetaSearch if you're using Rails 3.